Hey, beautiful and brilliant mamas. Welcome to For Black Mompreneurs, the podcast where we hold space for Black women who are mothers and entrepreneurs unapologetically chasing purpose and prosperity. I'm your host, Femi Lewis. Today we're talking about something that could easily transform not just your business, but your entire entrepreneurial journey. We're talking about building community. And I'm not talking about networking for the sake of collecting business cards or getting follows on your favorite social media platform. I'm not talking about those superficial connections that feel transactional. I'm talking about really intentional community building that becomes the foundation of everything that you are building in your business. Because here's what I've learned as an entrepreneur. This journey of entrepreneurship was never meant to be a solo journey, even if we are heading our own companies. And for us, community isn't just a nice thing to have. It's essential for our sustainability and our success. So I want to start this discussion around community with the why. Why do we need community? Because I want you to understand just how powerful intentional community building can be for us and our businesses. So as always, I'm going to start with a little bit of a story about how I got started and some of the problems that I faced. I can remember early on when I started my business and I was trying to figure so many things out on my own because I really didn't have a ton of financial resources to hire a brand strategist or a graphic designer or even at some point a business consultant. So I used things at my disposal. I had Canva. I went on there. I chose some colors. I designed my own logo. And I was wondering if it had done a good thing, but I wasn't certain. So I began asking my trusted friends what they thought of my choices. And the response is, "Oh, that's nice. This is awesome that you're doing this. Why do you need this again?" All of them were well-meaning, encouraging, and even those questions that were kind of devil advocate, like, why do you need this, were trying to be supportive. I never really felt as though I'd received the support that I truly needed. You see, they were only saying the brand colors or the logo was nice, but they weren't really able to offer the insight that another entrepreneur could have provided, like talking about things like, is this what your target audience would like? Or, what is the messaging? And they couldn't make a referral to an expert who could help me move the needle forward like another entrepreneur would be able to. And so this is why community is so important. Entrepreneurship can be incredibly isolating. You're making tons of decisions alone, and you are celebrating your wins alone, and you're processing your failures alone. And I remember those early days when I'd have a great sales day, or I discovered how to manage something in my business and I wanted to celebrate. But my family, my husband that loves me very much, he didn't really understand what it meant. But when I faced a setback and needed someone who understood the unique challenges of running a business while being a mom, I didn't have anyone. And so that isolation was silently breaking me, and I didn't even realize it at the time. We are carrying the weight of our family's financial future, our business goals, and often community expectations all by ourselves when we run a business. And so it's important to remember that community is going to help you transform everything. So when you have real community, here's what can really happen. In your business, you're going to have a built-in advisory board, other entrepreneurs who can help you problem solve, who face similar challenges, who can even refer you to clients or refer you to other experts who can help you. In some cases, you might be able to find people that you can collaborate with on projects. And you'll have people who understand your industry, that understand your market, and even your struggles. And they can spot opportunities that you might miss and help you avoid mistakes they've already made. So for instance, I have a business buddy who is an admissions coach. And when she was considering how to market her business, several of us in her community were able to offer insight to different perspectives. First, as entrepreneurs, and second, as mothers. We gave her feedback on, how to manage her messaging around the college admissions process and what I would, we'd be thinking about as mothers sending children off. We helped her refine her content and we became her first testimonials. And for your family, when you have an entrepreneurial community, you have other families who understand the journey that you're on. You know, your kids can see other children whose moms are building businesses as well. And they see that this is the norm, that taking risks and building something from nothing is possible. And your partner sees other supportive spouses and learns how to be supportive of your dreams. My daughter sees women running businesses as normal. She talks about when I have my business, not if I ever have a business. And that's because of the community of women that she's constantly surrounded by. It's a generational change that's happening in real time. And when I think about my broader community of Black women entrepreneurs, we're building community together. When we do that, we can create an ecosystem where we're able to hire each other. We're able to mentor each other. We can invest in each other's businesses, and we model what's possible for other women who are still sitting on their dreams. So think about this. What if every Black woman entrepreneur in your city knew and supported two others? What if we all shopped Black-owned businesses first? What if we all referred clients to each other? What if we all invested in each other's businesses and each other's success? We'd be creating an entirely different economic reality for our larger community. And that's huge. Community isn't just about what you can get. It's about what you can create together. When you have a strong entrepreneurial community, you're not just building a business, you're building a movement. You're creating opportunities for other women and their children, and you're changing what's possible for the next generation. So now that we've talked about community as a whole and why it's important and what can happen, I want to talk about how we can build community for ourselves. Because I want to be clear, we're not talking about, networking for networking's sake. We're not talking about how can we do business together as much as we are about building genuine relationships with other women who are sharing your same values and vision. And that is important. We need people with values and vision in our corners. So the first foundation is getting clear on your value. I want you to think about this. What kind of entrepreneur do you want to be? And what kind of business do you want to build? What impact do you want to have? Because your community should reflect and support these values. If you value integrity, you want to be around other women who are in business and do business with integrity. If you value family, you want community with other women who prioritize their family. And if you value giving back, you want women who are also committed to uplifting others while running their businesses. So the second thing I want you to think about is authenticity. And I know we talk about that word authentic and being our authentic self a lot, but you really can't build community while pretending to be someone that you're not. I'm a mom that prides herself on running my kids to school with leggings and a t-shirt, and a big part of my day is showing up like that at home. But that doesn't mean that when it's not time to, not putting forth my best effort in my business. So when you show up authentically and you're sharing your struggles and your fears and your wins and your journey, one of two things will happen. Either you're going to attract people who resonate with the real you, or you will realize that the community you are a part of is not for you, and you will find what you need somewhere else. I used to think I had to have it all figured out in order to be worthy of community, in order to enter certain spaces. And I thought I had to be successful. I thought I had to be the successful one who had all the answers. But the moment I started sharing my real struggle, the months where I barely made enough money, the times I cried in my car after a difficult client call, or the days I questioned whether I was even cut out for this thing called entrepreneurship, that's when I found my real community. That's when I found my people. And so this is the third thing that I want to talk about when I talk about my people. I lead with generosity, and the people that I have in my life, whether they're friends or in my business community, they also lead with generosity. Real community for me is built on reciprocity, but it starts with giving without expecting anything in return. So if I can share an opportunity with you, I will. If I can make an introduction, I will. I celebrate others' wins. I I offer expertise when someone needs help. Now, here's what I've learned. The women who become part of your long-term community are the ones who also lead with generosity. And when you give freely, you attract others. When you support others, you attract other supporters. Now, that doesn't mean you give away your services or your products for free. It means you provide a presence in other people's lives to lift them up. Here's the key. It's not also about keeping score. It's really about creating a culture of abundance where everyone's success contributes to the whole. So when one woman in your community lands a big client, you celebrate that milestone. Or if they achieve a goal, it raises the energy and the possibility for everyone. And that's a moment that you cheer for everybody, that person, because they're winning, so you're winning. So now that we've talked about like the foundation of community, let's talk about how we can be practical in how to build community. Where do you start and what does it even look like on a day-to-day? So the first thing I want you to do is start small and be intentional. I love that word intentional. I use it all the time. You don't need a community of 100 women. You need a core group of 3 to 5 women who are genuinely committed to each other's success. I always say quality over quantity, and sometimes you got to sift through other groups and make sure that it's a good space for you. In the past, I've been a member of several organizations created to support business growth, and at every step of the way, I learned, I networked, and I figured it out because that is what community does. It helps you figure it out. And along the way, I learned to weed out those spaces that weren't truly for me. And I also found some really remarkable women and spaces that were absolutely, genuinely my crew. So I'm going to share 2 groups that are very meaningful to me. So during the pandemic, I joined Maya Haradat. She's a business coach, her Crush Your Sales group. And the original group was a collective of women. I'm not certain if that was the original intention. There was a man, but he dropped out, and it's only ever been women in this circle. And we were all at different stages of our business. And at first I was pretty intimidated, but in time I realized I was there for a purpose and I was learning while watching others. And so it really made me step up my game. And I began to grow too. And as my business took on new life, I knew it was time for more. So I joined Grameen America. It's a micro lending program here in New York City for women. But it's really not for me just about the access to funds that has kept me in the program. It's the community of women who are starting and running and growing their businesses. So my center meets every Tuesday morning for 30 minutes. And that time is sacred. It's a place for us to meet, talk about different things. And there's also a chat space for us online. And that meeting time is so dope. And it has always helped me to remember my purpose as I continue to develop this brand for Black mompreneurs and my business, my other business, Amplified Content and Digital Design. So the second thing I want you to know is where to look, online and offline. So you can join online communities on Facebook. There's a ton of different Facebook groups, on LinkedIn, Alignable, and they will be specifically for Black women entrepreneurs. You can find general business groups and those for women. You can attend local networking events. I always opt for small, intimate gatherings over larger spaces because I feel like, if you're local, then it's an easy way to connect with people and extend past for coffee or whatever and see if that's somebody that you want to have in your space. You can join industry-specific groups. We can build deeper relationships. Look for entrepreneurial moms in your local area. So you can reach out for coffee dates. And those local connections are often really great because you can meet in person. And if there's a synergy, personally and professionally, perhaps this is a way for you to bring your kids into the fold and you can support each other in each other's businesses directly. But what I want to also say is this. In all that you join, I want you to be intentional and purposeful. I want you to remember your value and your vision. If you're in online groups, I say don't spend more than 10 minutes per day in these groups. See which groups produce the best results growth for your business based on your engagement and how they're helping your business grow. If you don't feel like there's any growth, take yourself out the group. For in-person gatherings, again, enter and leave with your vision and value in mind. That should always be at the forefront. What is your value? What is your vision? And is this an authentic space? And then the last thing is, and I'll say this, you can create your own gathering spaces, like hosting a monthly coffee meetup for women entrepreneurs. You could start a book club focused on business and personal development books. You could create a group chat for daily encouragement and quick questions. Or you could start a mastermind group, and that would be like a small group of entrepreneurs who meet regularly, either monthly or bi-weekly, to share wins, challenges, and brainstorm solutions together. And that can become your entrepreneurial family. The women who know your business intimately, this becomes your entrepreneurial family. The women who know your business intimately and are invested in your success. But here again, even with that, I want you to remember value, vision, authenticity, and being generous, right? Not generous to a space where you're doing so much that you're not able to run your business, but that you're giving of your community. You're not isolating yourself. You're growing and you're watching others grow. So the last is, and this kind of builds on what I just said, I want you to be very intentional about maintaining these relationships. So you send voice messages checking in with each other. Share resources when you find something that might help others, right? Don't keep things to yourself and be like, oh, well, this is for me and nobody else. If it's something that can help others, be that person that shares. And remember important things for people in your community, those dates and milestones that matter. And when you show up consistently, not just when you need something, show up when others need you. So set reminders in your phone to reach out to women regularly. Have monthly reminders to check in with the core group. I do that often. And quarterly reminders to reach out to a broader network. So those small touches will allow you to remain connected and show that you care. So I'm going to do a little shift. I want to talk about the real impact of community on every area of life, because this is where the magic happens. Okay. So we talked before about business transformation, but I want to go a little deeper into it because I think it is important. For your business, community becomes your greatest asset. You have built in market research, women who can give you feedback on your ideas, your pricing, your messaging. You have referral partners who send you ideal clients, potentially. Sometimes not. Maybe you just have somebody in your corner that's cheering you on. You have collaboration opportunities that can expand your reach and impact. But beyond those practical benefits, you have the encouragement during the tough times and those moments that you feel isolated and you want to give up. Those are the people that are going to push you to dream bigger. You should have women who are willing to tell you when you're undercharging, when you're playing too small, when you need to step up your game, because that's the kind of honest feedback that you need. It's invaluable. And when you have a family, having a community of other entrepreneurs is going to normalize your journey. Your children see that other families are living this way, that taking risks and building dreams is normal. And your partner sees other supportive spouses and learns how to better champion your dreams. And for you personally, you have models of what's possible. You see other women balancing motherhood and entrepreneurship successfully, and that will make a difference for you. You have become living proof that you're trying to do something that is possible. And for your broader community, you become part of an economic ecosystem that keeps resources circulating within our community. When we hire each other, buy from each other, and invest in each other, we create wealth that stays in our community. And that's something that's so important for us. But even more importantly, you become a model for what's possible for children that are watching you that aren't your own, for other adults. Every time you succeed, every time you build something meaningful, every time you create opportunities for others, you're showing the next generation what's possible for them. So more than anything, here's what I really want you to remember. Community isn't a nice to have in entrepreneurship. It is necessary and it is vital to your success. And building authentic community isn't about collecting contacts or growing your network or hitting people up when you need something. It's about creating genuine genuine relationships with women who will celebrate your wins, celebrate you through challenges, and push you to become the entrepreneur you're meant to be. Your assignment for this week, because you know I love to give some homework, I want you to identify one step you'll take toward building community. Maybe it's reaching out to one woman entrepreneur you admire. Maybe it's joining one online group and actually participating. Maybe it's starting a group chat with 2 other business moms you know. Start small, be authentic, lead with generosity, and watch how community transforms not just your business, but your entire entrepreneurial journey. Next week, we're diving into a mindset for networking, because once you have community supporting you, it's time to start moving in bigger spaces to share your messaging and learn from others. But until then, I want you to remember, you don't have to build alone. Your community is out there waiting for you. I'm Femi Lewis, and this has been For Black Mompreneurs. Keep building, keep connecting, and keep creating the change that you want to see. Peace.